Of course, American Anchor Baby is going to be live right after Joel Friday TV, who's coming live right after Hake. And we're off, I do believe. It is 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles, Monday, April 29th, AD 2024. And we're going to have a fun show, perhaps. Darn, I missed Saturday at the beach with Hake, says delighted to be here. Right on. No worries. I've been streaming the past few weeks a premiere of premieres of Hake's recordings from the beach. Isn't that kind of nice? I go to the beach on Saturday and then stream out a little spliced together bunch of recordings on Sunday after church. I think it's fun. People like it. Nice scenery. But today we're going to be covering some drama over, pardon me, I'm bumping the mic and everything. Drama over the Gaza stuff. And it's just drama. And then I get that there's people getting killed, but nobody actually cares. And then there's one of my competitors who was at it when I was a kid in high school. One of my competitors, not a Christian, calling Joe Biden the father of the country. Howard Stern, of all people. Pfft, what a mess. And your calls and super chats, guys, you can call in 1-888-775-3773. And you can super chat not on YouTube, but on buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report or wherever you like. If you go to thehakereport.com/show, you will see the different platforms on which you can give a donation message. Even on Rumble. I am live on Rumble, I do believe. Yes. What's up, guys? So, anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. I'm wearing one of my all thoughts are all lies all the time. All the time, all thoughts are lies. And it has Jesse thinking. Or looking like he's thinking. Kind of like Jesus. Angry or looking like he's angry. Nice. This is the mint green one or whatever. Sage green? Maybe light colored? Whatever. You can go to rebuildingtheman.com/stores to find yours. It's in one of the JLP stores. Let me help you guys find it so that I can tell you directly. I think it's the Society 6 one. Let's see. I believe so. society6.com/JLPtalk/designs. I'll paste that in the chat for you guys. So, and this is the size medium. I know. My shoulders are too broad for a size medium. Look at massive Hake. So awesome. It is so hot in here. And I pointed the fan in the wrong direction. It's pointing over there. It's not touching me. Hake is the only host who keeps the door open because it's so stuffy and hot in here. Whew. Are you able to point that fan, Hassan, over towards me? Or shall I run over and do it right now? Because it is so stuffy and humid and hot. I feel like I need to go out back to the beach. It's ridiculous. Appreciate it, man. Fresh air. Okay. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. All right. So, By the way, I have some cool music to share with you guys. But Crooked Joe Biden is not the father of the country. Point it down slightly. Perfect. Nice. And now it's gonna have this flag waving in the wind. Biden is not the father of the country, but one of the most vulgar radio hosts alive thinks that Crooked Joe is acting like the father of the country. Crooked Joe, who always brags that his son died of like brain cancer or something like that, right? My son Bo, he died of brain cancer. He uses that to connect emotionally with people whose children have died. You know, there's one person missing from the China virus because of the China virus. They died from the China virus. Dad, you know, I lost my son Bo because Crooked Joe has brought in illegals who've sometimes done stuff to get other Americans killed, quote unquote Americans. He's botched that pull out from Afghanistan. Didn't Americans get killed? How many Americans got killed in that Afghanistan? I have the number 13 in my head, but I could be wrong. The supposed end of the Afghanistan war, very clumsy and sloppy, as if he was even the leader at that point. And other things. Illegals with DUIs and alleged rapes and murders and different things. Stalking. That Laken Riley gal, who's, was it an illegal who killed her, allegedly? And then his son, and everybody has a wayward son, don't they? Or many people do, right? His son, Hunter, where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? Hunter's a mess. But Joe Biden's the father of the country, which makes sense because there's a whole lot of quote-unquote Americans who are into drugs and crime, and it's terrible. I have this clip 11 there, Hassan. Let's hear Crooked Joe's being praised by the most degenerate radio host, washed up competitor to Hake, talking about father's figure for the country. Here's Howard Stern gushing on Crooked Joe. Here it is.
You know, the reason I'm so excited to talk to you was because I wanted to understand the tragedy in your life and how you dealt with it. And you're the kind of leader I love because we're lucky to have you in the Oval Office and serving as the father of the country. Because if you're a good father to your family, which you are, I know you'd be a good father to the country. And I want to thank you for providing a calming influence, an organized administration post-COVID, getting that vaccine out. I remember what the world was like at that point, getting NATO, getting us to feel comfortable, standing up to Putin, the incredible large growth in the jobs, unemployment rate down. I'll give you your greatest hits. The lowest uninsured rate in history. 4 out of 5 Americans are covered for less than $10 a month. Knocking off a few ISIS leaders, cutting the emissions in half. I mean, you've always been an environmentalist.
That doesn't even look like Crooked Joe Biden. Look at him. He looks like he's barely there. Howard Stern is Hake's father. Yeah, Howard Stern, not a Christian. And he's naming all this stuff that doesn't mean anything to anybody, by the way. Maybe it means something to like a couple of people. But those aren't things that you really hear about. Why is he holding the mic stand? Yeah, here's Joe Biden holding onto the mic stand. Maybe it's so that he doesn't lose his balance. I don't know. But he's like, looks like he didn't put his teeth in. He looked like he didn't have his dentures in. 1 foot in the spirit world, 1 foot in the physical world. Hassan can understand if he may be holding the mic to just, he needs to hold on to something. I got that from Michael Tracey, who is an independent journalist, a liberal, an atheist. Not a Christian, but I think he's Christian by heritage. But he did wear a yarmulke over in like Princeton University or Princeton Seminary? Princeton University in New Jersey to go among the pro-Palestinian protesters, some of whom are Jewish themselves. Hake always puts his dentures in. He has hair plugs, says Kevin Howe. Yeah, that's right. He was starting to bald. Are you referring to Howard Stern, or are you referring to crooked Joe Biden, Kevin? He's not the... Trump was the father of the country. As American anchor babies intro clip says, Daddy's home. Because when Trump gets in there, the world returns to peace. People start behaving themselves again. When evil mama spirit Obama or evil mama spirit Biden, you guys know what I mean by mama spirit, right? They're emotional. They use lying emotional propaganda. They use intellectual rationalization of evil, supporting the LGBT stuff, supporting socialism, and this government getting involved with so-called health care. Biden is bald in the back, always has been. Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, a lot of guys get that. Does Hake have that coming in? It's just a little thin. Can you see it? Maybe I shouldn't show. Stern was best in the 90s and early 2000s. Now he's a hate-filled old Jewish guy. Yeah, he too has that mama spirit. That's why I'm not really surprised that these supposed, these unchristian people, these, well, I mean, that culture is very woman-ish. It's very false imitation of morality. Taking care of people, identifying with the victims. Don't show that, Hake. Thank you, Kris. How embarrassing. Michael Tracey used to listen a lot to Howard Stern. I knew guys who listened a lot to Howard Stern. That's where I got, you're childish. I haven't said that in a while. Or, you're what else did he say? You're being very childish right now. He said something else that I started to repeat at different points. But it was funny, it was irreverent, it was vulgar. It was kind of rejected by the mainstream media, but now he falls right in line with the mainstream media. I'm talking about Howard Stern. A shock jock, they used to call him. Man, he was vulgar. I'm just remembering different things that he would say, because I heard him a few times, a little bit. Reminds me of evil white rapper, Detroit, Eminem. He's supposedly antagonistic with the media, with the mainstream media, and being a kind of a in-your-face, I speak my mind. And then Trump is the real thing, speaking his mind, antagonistic to the media. Not that he's antagonistic to the media, but he points out how antagonistic they are toward him for telling the truth. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're R-wordists, apists, Ray. And some, I assume, are good people. The media is very dishonest. They are the enemy of the people. And so Trump is the real thing, and then phony, never grew up, never grew out of his angst. Eminem. Forget you. Any of fans of mine who support him? Haters. I knew somebody who knew his sister. I think he might have dated his sister. Yeah, so Howard Stern. Oh, and he talked about the vax. Trump, that was Trump. A lot of you guys don't like the vax. Why have any opinion on the vax unless you knew somebody who had problems? Well, actually, I think a lot of people knew people who had problems, and they think that it was from that. Who knows what it was from? But Trump did that. Trump did that. And Trump was never for the mama spirit forcing people to get it. What a mess. What a phony. Snoop loves Trump now. I guess he finally grew up at 65 years old. He's not 65. I don't even think that he loves Trump now. I think he too is. It is interesting to me how Snoop Dogg, you know, that rapper guy from the 90s, he survived and all these other people died. Tupac, Biggie, they just died, and Snoop knew how to live. I'd rather be a live beta than a dead beta. At least I have a chance, I guess, you know? I guess I'd rather not be a beta. Father of the country. He pushed division like crazy. He pushes the fake idea of, oh, these racist vangs and fangs. Their veins are bulging, and their fangs, these whites who are angry. Yeah, a lot of whites are angry. And you're stoking that anger, and you're stoking anger towards them, spreading anger and fear. Crooked Joe. His whole reason for running for office, according to him, which I don't believe it, is the Charlottesville thing, in which whites got steamrolled and their quote-unquote right to protest, free speech, violated by the antagonistic Black Lives Matter Antifa people, and the ACLU helped do the setup. The government, local government, helped do the setup so that the cops didn't separate the whites from the anti-whites, and there was fighting, and some of the whites fell into the trap. And it was a mess. The whites are suffering to this day. And Crooked Joe is still blaming the victims. You know how they say, and we should blame victims, but not blame them in the way that Evil Joe is doing it. When I say we should blame victims, there are a lot of whites and independent thinkers and patriots and different people who care about the country and independent thinkers who've come under major attack under the government, which is against the American people, anti-American government. They trashed that challenger, says Steve C. I remember that. I remember seeing Antifa was beating on the car before it ever hit anybody. That car that drove into the crowd and that lady died. The dishonesty, the fake news media. Fake news becomes fake history. That's why you can't necessarily believe even history. Because the media is so dishonest right before our very eyes about current events, you can't trust them about anything. Hake hates victims. No, we should love the victims enough to blame them for what they do wrong. I saw somebody else agrees with me about blaming victims. Yeah. Speaking of blaming victims, I saw a coverage of that Apple River shooting, whatever. No, not shooting, stabbing of that Romanian guy. Somebody called my show about it. American Anchor Baby covered it. Woo. Check him out. And wow, this Romanian guy who had like health problems, and he was coming off of health problems, and he lost a lot of weight. I guess this stabbing took place, what was it, like 2 years ago? But these wild young people, partly spurred on by a provocative black who was recording the whole incident, these young white guys hanging out with a black, and this black is recording it and saying, oh, he's a PDF, he wants to look at the little girls or something like that. and he stabs people who attack him because he pushed a woman. Because a woman got in his face, and so he pushed her or something. Or went to his, I don't know what he did. I don't know what type of contact he had. But they went crazy. Oh, you hurt a woman. And then some of them, one of them got kind of disemboweled, but he survived. The one who got disemboweled. He survived. Wow, that was crazy. Another guy got killed because he got stabbed in the heart. He died almost immediately. Wow. That other girl got stabbed. He didn't stab anybody but anybody who was touching him. You don't touch people. Never touch anyone. You should blame the victims. And don't be all simping about, oh, he touched a woman. And don't get all caught up when people are attacking a guy or when a guy looks like the bad guy because you don't know the situation. Did he get convicted? Yeah, he stabbed a girl who was, or slashed or whatever. He got her good in the, I say good, but not in a good, I'm not saying that it was good. It was a bad, nasty situation. Yeah, it was a knife that he carried all the time that he brought for, supposedly for cutting stuff that he may need to cut because they were tubing down a river. And there's like ropes and things like that. Yeah, it's the tubing stabbing. You have to blame the victims a little bit. And in a sense, you could call him a victim of like the justice system that's maybe not fair exactly. I don't know if you want to call the system fair, because I'm not fair or unfair. The people are unfair. We have a people that's corrupt. The juries, the judges, the lawyers, and the guy himself is Romanian, okay? I'm thinking a Romanian guy is gonna escalate. I don't know anything about Romanians, except that Romania is where that Andrew Tate guy was, and he got arrested and had a crazy experience in the Romanian prison. And so I think of Romania as like this tough ex-communist country. And they don't mess around. And so these guys who are messing around on him, he doesn't know what the situation is. And there was one guy whom he stabbed, and the guy died. And the guy who died, I think he was just trying to push him away, go back to your thing. In reality, he should have been pushing his own people away, keeping his own people away from the guy. I get that there's more of your own people to handle, so you got to pick somebody. But normally when there's a fight and you're breaking up a fight, you grab your own person. You don't shove the other person. But he too, you have to blame him too, because now he's definitely suffering on some level for his own actions. Why couldn't he communicate? I need to get my phone, or my friend's phone. I think you guys have it. I don't think he communicated at all. Aren't Romanians all vampires? Yeah, exactly. I think isn't Vlad the Impaler? Like, that's what he did, basically. And I don't celebrate it. I know it's sort of dark, but we bring in all these immigrants who have live rough, real life stuff, and then we have these dumb, silly people who live in La La Land and get all puffed up in white knight when you push a woman. Oh, you pushed a woman. I heard did that black guy get in trouble for lying? There was a whole lot of lying going on. That guy, the guy himself who stabbed the people, he lied about it. And I don't blame him even for lying about it, honestly. I disavow it, of course, because he shouldn't be lying to the cops. But knowing that he's Romanian and he just did this thing, and I think he tried to pitch the knife, throw the knife away, and pretend like he didn't know what was happening. Those kids were just being rambunctious, which is true. I think he lied to the cops about the whole different situation. He and I really I could imagine why you would do that, because the cops over in Romania, the cops might not be as fair as the cops supposedly are in America. And are the cops very fair in America? It depends. It's a toss-up. So, yes, I'm for victim blaming. Nobody's a victim, and everybody's a victim. Take steps to protect... Ladies. Hake. Ask Hake to name one country on that Romania borders. The Gypsies. Is it near Germany or somewhere? Is Prague around there somewhere? It's crazy. Anyway, you can call in 1-888-775-3773. Jaime in Minnesota is on the line here. Jaime, thanks for calling. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you
Nice.
doing, Hake?
Doing fine, thank you.
Hey, you know these Romanian gypsies that are over here in
No! American Anchor Baby said they're not Romanian, they're Romani, which is different from Romania.
Nah, they're Romanian, man.
Are you sure?
Oh, I bet you anything.
Oh,
I've been
really?
watching-
Okay, what
I've
do
been
you want to
watching
bet?
these-
What should we bet? Let's bet something. Don't bet, kids. Don't bet. But what do you want to bet, Jaime in Minnesota?
One of them tar baby hats.
Okay, all right, that
Yeah.
works. If you win this bet, then I will buy and send you a Tar Baby hat. And then if I win, I guess you get me a Tar Baby hat.
There you go.
Okay, cool.
So I've been watching these cop cam videos, and there's a lot of these people that are committing fraud. You know, putting up posters saying that their daughter died and they need money for the funeral.
Yeah.
And they're doing scams on people, and they always talk like broken English, like it's fake broken English. For some reason, you can kind of tell that they do speak English. They're just faking that they don't.
Yeah.
With the cops, the cops are trying to, get down to what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's they got women with their high school kids. Supposedly, it's their kids. But another one I seen, somebody was this family was in a car doing some sort of scam with cars, maybe like an accident kind of, you hit somebody, fender bender, and then you blame them.
Yeah.
But they're scamming people, and they're just the Romanian gypsies, man. They all say Romani.
Romani,
Blah, blah, blah.
right? Romani. Roma. They call them Roma people because gypsies has become supposedly, you're not supposed to say that.
Really? I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous too,
But
because
so,
go ahead.
were you saying that it came out that this guy that stabbed that guy in Wisconsin, he was Romanian?
Yeah, I think he's Romanian.
Yeah, I'm sure the guy, I don't know if it came out, but did they say why he was even there?
Oh, I kind of know why. You're referring to the guy at the Apple River stabbing, right? That was in Wisconsin, huh? He ran up there, according to him, because he volunteered from his group to go fetch a phone that one in his group had forgotten or lost or something. And he thought that he saw it. He thought he saw somebody with the phone, according to his testimony, as I recall watching. And so he ran up to get it. And that running approach is when we see the video of him running up and stumbling. And he thought that they knocked off his goggles and stuff, or at least he claimed to think that. But actually, his goggles and snorkel fell off. And he got up, and they're like freaked out by him. You got to get out of here. And so he was looking for a phone.
Supposedly, allegedly.
Yeah, according to him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard stories about the Romanians and the Gypsies. Is that right to say Gypsies on here?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I think so. Hopefully,
they're not
YouTube
morally
doesn't ban
straight.
me for that. Shout out to the Gypsies. We love the Gypsies and Roma people. We don't know better.
You just got to watch out for them because they're always pulling a trick, doing a scam. And I'm sure this guy, he had a scam going on. He was doing something he wasn't supposed to be. Then he got caught, and now he's making up stories. You just can't believe Gypsies.
Yeah.
Everything that comes out of their mouth, they're trying to get out of something.
I think I owe you a hat, man.
Sweet.
Romani people in Romania. Roma, traditionally Tagani, often called gypsies, though the term is typically considered a slur. What do you mean typically considered a slur? Typically by the liberals. I never considered it a slur. I think it was like a cool name, but also a lot of them do steal, so they've given themselves bad names for like apparently centuries.
Yeah.
But anyway,
they've been like that forever, and they ain't gonna change.
I disavow,
and so
I
the
guess.
only reason I knew that it was a Romanian is because of how they talk, how they look, kind of white, like a Russian white, but
they also
they're not.
look sort of darker skinned, though, right?
A
lot of them.
They're evil people. Not everybody's evil, but they're scam artists.
Yeah.
That's their main game. But even if they are, they could have a weapon.
They're Indo-Aryan. So so that's kind
they're
of...
They're not likely to get violent.
Yeah.
But, it does happen.
Yeah, they're more just little scammer, thief people.
Right. Try to scam and then go away.
A lot of them.
Possible.
Exceptions to the rule.
Right. But
I guess.
I've
never met an exception.
I was watching some cop cams, and there's some Romanian scammers getting busted, and I thought about that video that you're talking about, and it's very possible that guy was trying to pull a scam, or just being somewhere he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And those they were white kids, right?
Yeah, mostly.
White, some adults, college age or something.
Yeah, like graduated high school barely or something.
Yeah. They may not have known exactly what he was there to do,
right.
But I'm sure they pegged him right. This guy's not supposed to be here, and you got to get rid of him.
That's quite possible, but, man.
It's too bad they were drinking, because if they weren't drinking, they probably would have just left.
You know what? You're saying alcohol was involved. I wasn't aware of it, but I've heard that before. That could well be, huh? So has that come out that was he inebriated as well, under the influence?
No, I thought I heard that in the story.
Oh, it could well be. I didn't thoroughly look into the story, but I started to
drinking or doing some kind of drugs, or how kids get out there and they smoke their reefers every once in a while.
Yeah, true. Especially even the good kids are doing that stuff now. The quote unquote good kids are getting into drugs.
Well, cool, man.
Well, thank you, man.
You have a good rest of your day, Hake.
Yeah, thank you for the context there, and I guess let me put you on hold to get your information, because you want to bet against Hake.
Hey, make sure you watch out for them gypsies, man.
Thank you.
They're everywhere.
Good word. I'll put you on hold, and he'll give you the email. I guess you can email me or something. All right. The Hake Report at gmail.com. The Hake Report at gmail.com. What a mess. Yes, so the Romani people are Indo-Aryan. Indo-Aryan. Like, that means, what is that, Indonesian or India? I think of that as that. Something like that. Or something. So they're part Asian and it's part white. And part something. The Aryan people, are Persian people Aryan? Or is it just the white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired, alpha-looking people? Well, thank you for that context, man. A Tar Baby hat would be pretty cool to get. Okay. So let me talk about this drama over the Gaza mess. I don't really have a dog in this fight between Israel and Palestine or Gaza or whatever, nor do I have a fight in between the people who are on the sides of either side, because I'm American, for one. I don't know what's going on, for two. I don't like the victim mentality of either side. I notice that there is the establishment, which is currently more dominantly, quote unquote, pro-Israel. And then there is just under that, the sub-establishment, which is still pretty establishment and mainstream, honestly, compared to the marginalized normal people. Am I calling us victims? Us, the normal people? Am I a normal person? They're crying, they're using liberal words like genocide or apartheid. Like that's such a bad thing. Apartheid protects you. You know, it protects you. Well, there's this guy who's trashy looking, who apparently he's like a representative for Ireland, one of those Ireland countries. There's two of them, right? I guess. In the United Nations. And he looks like almost as bad as Hake, or maybe even worse than Hake. You know how Hake, me, I wear a t-shirt all the time. I don't dress up properly for my show. Well, I mean, I like to wear different Hake t-shirts and JLP t-shirts, Bond, The Fallen State. This guy, I have this clip from a few weeks ago, this other clip. With his long hair and nice Irish accent. I like a nice Irish accent. This is from a few weeks ago. Or a couple weeks ago. He's being all dramatic about these victims and this genocide word and genocide J. Why can't everybody get a little cider? If you're gonna fight and be in a war, that's what happens here. Check this out and see what you think.
I was surprised that you didn't really put things in context before you gave your speeches. We have almost 30,000 Palestinians murdered by the Israeli regime, over 12,000 children. We have over 90% of the population are starving now. Babies have been born to malnourished mothers and they're only living for a few days. And you're saying that there's an unacceptable violation of international law going on and it's the Houthis doing it? Under international law, we have an obligation to prevent genocide taking place. The EU has done nothing to stop the genocide taking place. The Houthis have done something about it, and by interfering with shipping, facilitating the genocide. How, in God's name, how can you just turn a blind eye to the truth of what's really happening? The Houthis have killed nobody with the interference of the ships. Israel has killed 30,000, and you're giving out about the Houthis who've killed nobody? You're putting shipping before the lives of Palestinians. You just don't give a damn about the Palestinian lives, and that's the truth of the matter.
Sorry, kids.
And you're worried about spillover in international law. Israel is bombing Lebanon, is bombing Syria, is bombing Gaza, and you're worried about the Yemenis interfering with ships because there's money been lost over it?
Yes.
Is there a joke? Honest, I just don't understand how you can take this perspective. What he's going to do about it? Is he ever going to tell Israel that they're committing a genocide? Because if this is not a genocide that's going on in Gaza, then what would you call it? That's one of my questions to you. I want you to know, what would you call what's going on in Gaza if it's not a genocide? And my other question to you is, if right now the US and UK are bombing cities in Yemen, do you think that's against the UN Charter? Because I do. Please tell me. It might be okay with the international rules-based order that just make up as you go along, but it is not okay with the UN Charter. Give us a break.
So this guy has like wild white, yellowish hair and a scraggly, stretched out t-shirt. And he's, M. Wallace is the man's name. Kind of fat, white beard, not a long beard. Ruddy, red-faced man being a mama about genocide. What would you call it? Looks like a crazy old tweak bum talking about people following him on the corner of L.A. Correct me if I'm wrong. Genocide is just a liberal word. It's just a liberal word. I get that the whites want to claim it but it's just not going to garner any sympathy because nobody really likes a victim. And the people are already conditioned to hate and look down on the whites, so it's not going to win anything. I don't like the UN. And a lot of you guys are critical of Israel and maybe agree with this guy on some stuff. And he said that Israel is bombing Lebanon and Syria and, of course, Gaza. Lebanon, for what? I don't know. Maybe there's some other groups that are attacking Israel right now. And Syria. I like Syria. I don't know anything about Syria, but I like Syria. I like that one guy who was accused of war crimes because I don't really believe it. He, like, supposedly used biological weapons against supposedly his own people. Bashar al-Assad, I like that guy. I don't trust the mainstream. The UN, you guys who bash Israel, and I don't hold it against you for doing that, shouldn't we bash the UN? Because isn't it the UN that founded Israel? And now the UN wants to turn around and whatever. What would I call it if I wouldn't call it a genocide, Jay? I would call it a nasty war. And maybe they're a little indiscriminate. Some of them, I bet you they are. I wouldn't be surprised if a young, relatively testosterone-filled male goes overboard in war and hurts civilians. I heard that that's what Americans did in Vietnam. What were we in Vietnam for? The UN is global communism, says Lucky Larry. Yeah, I'm with you on that. He said 30,000 murdered. Okay, we can take that with a grain of salt because there was maybe there's some murder in there, but there's also just war. I'm not a fan of war. I don't like war. I don't want to get killed or have people be dying, but that's what happens. Even in the Bible, and I'm not saying that this is a godly war, but in the Bible it talked about when kings are supposed to go out to war. King David was sitting around lounging at his house, looking at Bathsheba bathing on the roof of Uriah the Hittite, of his house. He was lounging around when he was supposed to be at war. So maybe there's a time for war, at least in the Old Testament, I guess there was. And war happens. Hell happens, right? And maybe there's no good guys in a war. Because normally we're taught, at least when I was a kid, I was thinking good guys versus bad guys. The North was the good guys, the South was the bad guys. I literally thought that as a kid. And then America was the good guys in World War II. They're very fine people on both sides. and violence on many sides. 12,000 quote-unquote children died so far, or maybe more, from this Israel attack on Gaza. And they say children. I scoff at it because under 18, they call them a child. But under 18 is also a fighting age male. 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 17-year-olds getting in fights, going to committing murder maze in America and over there. They train them to be fighters from a young age. Something is clearly wrong with Hake, says Christ Conquers. Are you the one Christ Conquers who said, I've seen your show, you ain't much? Maybe somebody else said that yesterday in church. Babies living only a few days. I do not envy those people over there. Definitely not. And he mentioned the Houthis. I didn't give you context on that. You guys probably know, some of you, better than I do. But I remember hearing about these Houthi rebels. Yemeni Houthi rebels. Are they Yemeni? Going into the sea and interrupting our ships sailing. As if that's going to stop. That's going to prompt us, or whoever us is, to stop the war from happening, to make a ceasefire. That's not going to do anything. That's just going to irritate people more. I don't think. Reminds me of this college drama. College drama going on in the world. To me, it's ridiculous. These supposed students, some of them probably not students, they're just agitator people who are just showing up on campus. Because how do you know they're students? It's like the January 6th. How do you know they're Trump supporters? Some of them, I'm sure, many of them are/were. Some of them were not. There was a Black Lives Matter supporter who was kicked out of Black Lives Matter for being too agitative, and he went and agitated inside of the Capitol. So he was not a Trump supporter. He just wanted to. Didn't he say, "Let's set this B word on fire"? He wanted to set the Capitol on fire. He was just a troublemaker. This black guy who went in on January 6th. So these supposed students who are protesting and setting up camps, man, it's ugly. Let me show you. Look in the folder here. Palestine protesters. I saw this headline from CNN, and mostly I'm showing it just for the picture. I got this on Friday from the CNN headlines. I'm looking at this beautiful building, college building, and then a whole bunch of ugly green, they don't even really match, green, tarp blue, blue-green, with Palestinian flags, tents. And they're like modern tents. They're not those cool-looking olden days tents where it's just a V bar and a bar and just a triangle. Those are cool tents. Do you see that in the folder there? Ugly. Protesting, divest from... Don't worry, you dumb, silly protester people. You're going to get in there. You're going to become the lame-o establishment in due time, and you're going to get rid of the support for Israel, I think, and you're going to crack down on even harder on the whites with even less a sense of civilization than the current people are cracking down on the whites. Seems like, to me. That's what it looks like it's going to be coming. Doesn't it seem like to you that these people who are, I know a lot of you guys are quote unquote pro-Palestine or anti-Israel or whatever. So are these people. And they hate you in even more uncivilized ways, you the whites or you the Christians, and even more uncivilized ways than the pro-Israel haters of the whites. So don't worry, it's going to get worse for the whites. I wouldn't be gleeful. The enemy of your enemy is an even worse enemy of you. The enemy of your enemy is not your friend. If you guys who are sick of Israel or whatever. Am I right? The enemy of your enemy is an even worse enemy for you. Free Israel, says Falcon Ing. What's up, Falcon Ing, over on Twitch? Nice to see ya. Did you know Hake streams on Twitch? You think I'm fear-mongering, IC? I'm not even saying that to fear-monger. I'm just pointing out the reality that both the establishment, which is all, ooh, we gotta support Israel, and the just underneath, bubbling underneath the surface, also in the establishment, because these people are in the establishment. Ilhan Omar and all the college people, all that stuff. They are both hate you guys. But the current establishment has a little bit more civilizedness, pretense of being fair. These guys don't even pretend to be fair. They do not care. It's going from bad to worse. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just saying it how I see it. Watch out. Michael Tracey wore a yarmulke. Michael Tracey, an independent journalist guy. I like following him. He went into one of these pro-Palestinian protests, and mostly they're pretty nice. They're a bunch of nice people. Evil nice people, right? He went to Princeton wearing a yarmulke. I don't even know if this guy is Jewish. He has dark brown hair, and he's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show two times, I think, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. He is waiting to be inundated with all the vicious anti-Semitism. And he hyphenated it nice. At least hyphenate it. If you're going to believe that it's real, at least hyphenate it. Don't put it all in one word like the activist journalist people. Kiss-ups. And I'll let you know if I survive. At one point, it flew off and somebody ran and picked it up for him. Because there's all this drama over these protests being anti-Semitic. And that's when they sent the police in. Like I said last week, there's a lot of Jewish students, and they scare easily, for one. Because they're taught to be afraid and to think that it's going to happen again, this Holocaust hay. I guess that's too close to the real thing. Cost hala a. I saw a clip on American Anchor Baby in which young children-looking Jewish kids, I think they were kids, children, went up to this pro-Palestine guy. You're making us feel uncomfortable. I just don't get why everybody hates us, this little girl said. That, in my mind, sounded like it was something she heard her mother say, or her father say, Mama Spirit Father. A kid doesn't care about stuff like that, isn't thinking about stuff like that. It doesn't have much to do with you. And they are hate-filled people. The world is evil. Most people are evil. It's not something to be all hyped up about. Talk about destroying brainwashing the kids with this victimhood stuff. What a mess. She shouldn't know about these things, says Alex. I agree. I'm shaking my head. Tallahassee Coates doing the same thing. These edumamificated blacks. Michelle Alexander, author of The New Jim Crow. I'm talking about blacks brainwashing their black children. Black educated, quote unquote, people, liberals, white haters, brainwashing their children about, oh, Mike Brown was murdered. Oh, and the cop got off. He should have gotten off. It was self-defense. So sick. If they say you're fear-mongering because you're telling the truth, then they're admitting they are scared of the truth, says Misfit Nation. Yeah. Fair point. Thank you, Bradley. I have some super chats to read, but let me get to a break before I get back to calls and super chats. We're already at the top of the hour, guys. Wow. It is LN Monday. Love Neptune Monday. You know, the moon, Neptune. LN, I don't like that it ever stood for Love Neptune. I just call it LN because I knew it as LN. It's sort of folk, it's sort of shoegaze, and it's sad. Gary Murray of LN. This is from Velvet Blue Music. LN, I want to do Nerves Left Exposed. That one in the folder there, Hassan. I hope you enjoy it, you musical Philistines. I know I kind of did back in 2005 or so. I'll be right back for hour 2. This is from Dirt Floor Hotel Part 1, the album, the opening track. Nerves Left Exposed by LN. Be right back, you musical Philistines.
Sea wakes me to lonely town. No one's around us, mine. Boat is tossed upon the streets, and I hear you sing from the high bow. And I hear you singing lullabies, and I hear you saying goodbye. Please don't go, I cried, an echo like a dream, with a haunted image of my broken wing. And she turns to me and says it's okay, I'm already gone. Can you give me my ocean, sir? I don't like these streets, with the nerves left exposed. And I hear you sing from the high bell. And I hear you hate singing lullabies. And I hate saying goodbye. Please don't go, I scream, through haunted, salted skies.
Isn't it sad?
Mend my broken dream. And she turns to me and says it's okay, I'm already gone.
It's not so bad. It's not the end of the world. It's not that important. But she's already gone. LN. So sad. Thank you guys for bearing with me through that nice, I guess, sort of beautiful music. Gerta says, whoa. Gerta says, ugh, bleep. This song makes the silent prayer feel like a Van Halen concert. Yeah. Unexciting. In a way. I have super chats to read, guys, including Lin Yen Chin. I am remiss in not reading Lin Yen Chin's super chats from Friday. Terrible. He says, sense of ease is also your sense of tension, in the same sense as the formula for muscle development. Time under tension. Pull it up for viewers, Lord Goodhair. Now display my next two super chats while you read them. This is vital for Alex in California. Time under tension. Pull, what? I don't know if I can follow your instructions, Lin Yen Chin. In balancing your, but this is for Alex in California. In balancing your body's sense of orientation and coordination, the flow of breath must always anchor through your body's center of gravity. You may recall Alex in California called in talking about breathing through the nose. He trains dogs, not to dox his job, but he said you have to, he inhaled through his mouth and then exhaled through his nose, and then eventually he could breathe through his nose full time. Pretty much. And he said you have to exhibit non-fear, calm, when dealing with the dog, so it won't bite you or whatever. So Lin Yen Chin says, in balancing your body's sense of orientation and coordination, the flow of breath must always anchor through your body's center of gravity. That is the central axis of all kinetic nodes, connected but free-floating action or leverage points. Interesting. Ease of breath rises to the degree of precision in the transition from one action point to the next. Focus on tucking your chin, but not too tight, as it has to remain a loose, floating point that feels plugged into your center of gravity and a sense of breath. Interesting. To intuit, you know the root word for intuition? To intuit what I mean regarding the chin, sight the horizon, and the chin will naturally find its place. Mouth breathers prefer to literally chin up as a means to compensate for craning the neck forward, pinching and harming their nerves. Wow. Thank you, Lin Yen Chin. And pardon me for not pulling up what you wanted me to pull up to show while I read that for Alex in California. If you're listening, Alex in California. He also gave a few tips today. Thank you. Those are from Friday, Lin Yen Chin. A few more from Lin Yen Chin from today. Lord Goodhair, this sounds crazy, but have you noticed a stench generated by anyone who took the Schmaxine? I don't know, because I don't know who's smaxed and who's not schmaxed. And I don't get very close to people in general. Never touch anyone. It's a good way not to get abdestay. Stabbed, you know? It isn't a shock if you can't. I do, and it stinks. Assailing my CNS with pain, central nervous system, I think, with pain more intense than from inhaling cigarette smoke. Wow, is that true, Lin Yen Chin? The Schmaxine, he continues, seems to trigger artificial awakening of the devil gene. I smell it because I have a natural awakening of my own devil gene, and it is opposed to the synthesized version. Mine comes from being black mixed with Chinese. Hybrid vigor trigger. Hybrid vigor trigger. You make me chuckle, Lin Yen Chin. I guess I disavow that. That your devil gene comes from being black mixed with Chinese. Oops, I breathed in through my mouth. That's pretty amusing, Lin Yen Chin. Now, speaking of all this mouth breather stuff, so like my nose, you see it's crooked. You see it? It's pointed that away. I feel like you guys who are all into your nose breathing stuff, okay, I guess I just got debunked when I just thought of, in my own mind, I just got debunked by the white man out there, the white Irishman out there. Sean. He doesn't have big old black or Asian nostrils. But you guys have your big old black nostrils and big old Asian nostrils, wide noses. And Hake has like a long protruding nose, a Roman nose. And I can't breathe through it. Hands up. I can't breathe. So I just wonder if that's... And then JLP... You know, he had like a cleft palate or whatever, so he breathes through his mouth a lot, I think. I'm not sure. And so you guys are looking down on us mouth breathers. When I would run cross country and track, I was taught to breathe through your nose and mouth. Like that. But anyway, I accept you guys' advice regardless. Thank you. A few more super chats. Over on Streamlabs, Kale says America dropped 2 nukes purposefully aimed at highly populated civilian cities, but people call Gaza Genocide, Jay. Well, he spells it all the way out. Give me a break. Fair point, man. Fair point. And, well, I mean, there's fewer people to go around and than like with Gaza, whereas we just did the 2 highly populated cities. Oh, how many did it off when we did Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Or Hiroshima and Nagasaki? How many people did that off? I wonder. And who called for that to happen? Was that Eisenhower? Was that... I don't know. No, Eisenhower came afterwards. He was the World War II like hero, right? Don't ask me about history. I'm going to read the coffees, guys, but let me get to a call or two first. Wait, let me check on who... Is this Joe from Phoenix, Sean? Let me see. How come it says Jaime from Minnesota, Romani people? Is this Joe from Phoenix, Arizona? No. Is this Jaime from Minnesota again? Who is this? I guess they're not ready. Can somebody figure out who's on the line? Thanks, Nick. Anchor baby. Catch Joel Friday, guys. Joel Friday's gonna come up next. I don't know how that happened. I had a... Oh, there was no one there. Yeah. I had... The snake was on hold, and I looked, and then it said, Jaime from Minnesota, Romani people again. Don't pick up the phone. Yeah, you can call in 1-888-775-3773. Joel is coming up next. What is his thing that he's going to be talking about? Oh, no. Oops, I just put in Anchor Baby. I almost scheduled for the people to be redirected to Anchor Baby and not Joel Friday. Obedience to your spouse is what Joel Friday will be talking about. Just pick it up, says Zazin. Okay, fine. Let me read these super chats then. All right. Over on buymeacoffee.com/the Hake Report, White Lion bought one a few days ago, I want to say. He said, Jesse is good, but I'm going to be listening less and less to him because he... the Jews. And he says a vulgar statement. White Lion continues, he made a comment yesterday, meaning Thursday or Friday, that anyone that dislikes, which is to say hates, the Jews is a loser. 100. Is that second comment meant to prove the first comment, White Lion? Gonna be listening less and less. Because he's always liked the Jews. Or maybe he's just coming. I think that a lot of people assign ideas on JLP that aren't there. It's kind of like a woman thing to do. A woman will hear something you say, or they will see something from you and completely misinterpret it in the worst way. And that's what I think that a lot of the people who have a bone to pick with the Jays are reading into it. So White Lion, watch yourself, but no problem, man. No problem. You do what you want, of course. But yeah, if you hate anybody, you're a loser. It's true. And then dislike, it's the same thing. But he didn't say dislike. I remember hearing that comment because I heard it on the replays of the JLP Best Of. I listened to that over the weekend on Saturday mornings. It premieres on the Jesse Lee Peterson channel. And I heard that comment because I had read your super chat back then, White Lion, with your coffee. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. It's a pretty vulgar statement. But no, Jesse's the same as he always is and has been. And you'll notice that his love for Israel and the Jews is more and increasingly separated from the mainstream phony kiss-up stuff that you see in the from, like, say, Mike Johnson and these phony people. It's more comes from just being an independent thinker. What, you expect him to agree with you on everything? As Asmodor has said, why am I going to get in a beef with somebody with whom I agree on 80% of what he says, and I'm going to get mad at him for loving Israel or whatever? You're supposed to be united with people as much as possible and then cut them some slack on it if they're wrong. because you end up being wrong, even if let's say JLP is wrong on the facts about Israel and all that stuff. You become wrong for turning your back on your fellow Christian. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? You let people be wrong. But thank you, White Lion NYC. Appreciate you bringing that up. It's a great topic. I really like this topic of the disagreement over Israel and kissing up and people getting in their heads about being a shill or being paid or being whatever, because people will get way into their imaginations and make up stuff that isn't true, or they think things are true that aren't. It's super interesting to me. And so I like dealing with, as I always do, I like having a little bit of an antagonistic relationship with people, with my chat, the flat earthers, the Jew critics or whatever, Jew haters, Jew blamers, harsh Jew critics, the sin, this Christian sinners, the Jesus is God people, the whatever. What else do I beef with you guys about? The Hake, beautiful Hake music. Actually, I kind of know that a lot of people have way better taste than me, or just better music than me, because I'm still attached to my children growing up, finding my own music. I didn't want to follow anybody else. What a setup, huh? The pagans. Dude, your music is objectively bad, says Nugget Man. Indeed. Anyway, oh, by the way, GMD Jim, I see GMD Jim chatted. He had a great super chat yesterday, meaning Friday, that I read it during the last song that I played. And that was, come on, I half read this one. 12/19/60, December 19th, 1960. Kennedy sent an alternate slate of electors. This was a reference to Joe in Phoenix, who called my show and talked about the fake elector scheme. Oh my goodness, ridiculous. I have some pictures of this gal over in, what's that A word? Arizona. Okay, let's see. Trump persecution AZ 1. And 2, Chris Mays. 3 is 3 and 4 are the really interesting pictures of this gal, Arizona State Attorney General Kris, Kris. It's a woman. Mays. I presume that she's a woman. Nowadays you don't know, but I'm quite sure. Mark Meadows and Rudy Giuliani were indicted, which is to say indicted, in Arizona in the latest 2020 election subversion case. Very subversive to be subversive and then accuse the man who's trying to bring integrity back into the country subversive. Very subversive. I'll give them that. They're trolling us. Election subversion case. Who is the subverter? Subversive is a adjective that I associate with these people whom you guys like to criticize, some of you guys. It's basically a dog whistle, an anti-Semitic dog whistle. Subversion. They're subversive. They subvert the culture. They turn wrong right and right wrong in the people's psyche. They believe gay is right and being morally straight is wrong. And they believe that whites are are the ones hating the blacks when it's the blacks hating the whites. They just turn things upside down. Very subversive. The radicals, the unchristian people. And now the subversive communist people who are in Commie Nonsense Network are using headlines accusing Trump of subverting. What? He's trying to bring back, he's the law and order guy. He's trying to bring integrity back into America. And of course, I disavow the big lie that Trump, for the sake of my channel, I disavow the big lie that about the election. The election was perfect. But anyway, Mark Meadows, just this normal, conservative, sort of Republican mainstream guy. And then Rudy Giuliani. One of the things I wanted to bring up about Rudy Giuliani is that some of you guys may not know, some of you guys are older than me and you do know, Rudy Giuliani, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because you know history better than me some. This man stopped crime, right? Under his leadership, he saved the blacks from themselves. In the 90s and early 2000s, I want to say, Rudy Giuliani was mayor of New York City. And I don't remember if he was Republican or Democrat back then, but I thought of him as kind of like a liberal Republican or something. Not sure. But he had, under his leadership, the crime went down. They did the 3 strikes laws. They got a stop and frisk. Hey, you're on the street, we're stopping you and frisking you. And yeah, it's unconstitutional. Yes, so what? You lost the Constitution with the Civil War. You don't have a Constitution. You boomers. Shout out to the boomers and the people who want the Constitution. Pathetic. You lost your right not to get unlawfully searched and seized a long time ago when you let the blacks go out of control with the crime. Or at least they let the blacks go out of control with the crime so they can search and seize anybody. But these was stopping and frisking people who were actually criminals. Not he personally, but his cops. They would stop and frisk the criminals. Or the criminal-looking people. Shout out to the criminal-looking people. I know a lot of you guys are not criminals. Or at least you're not that bad. And hey, hat tip to all of you. I've known some criminal blacks and others, and Hispanics and Asians, and maybe even some whites. But the murder was crazy until they turned everybody like effeminate and gay and girly and put the chemicals in our water. But anyway, he did a lot to like help. At least that's what my impression was, and that's what a lot of people who are older than me, whose opinions I respect. That's Rudy Giuliani. He helped bring crime under control, and crime was killing mostly blacks, by the way. And so these guys, the law and order people, Trump, Giuliani, Mark Meadows, they're getting indicted. And who is indicting them? This gal. So this gal, Kris Mays, with her goofy smile. And what is she? Born 1970 or 71. She has like 10, 11 years on me. American reporter, lawyer, liar, and politician, female. Arizona State Attorney General, a member of the Democrat Party, elected in 2022. So she's been in there since 2023. She beat Republican Abraham Hamadeh, whoever that is, by a margin of just a mere 280 votes in one of the closest elections in the state's history. 27th Attorney General of Arizona. Under the governor, Katie Hobbs, a Democrat, Show more pictures of this gal. Like the number 3 is the zoomed in picture of this one. Look at that face. Okay, I kind of smile like that when I smile big. You see my teeth, you see my front teeth, but my chin kind of tucks under. Well, anyway, we're just describing her. So for the audience, she looks sort of like it's just basically normal laughing smile for a white gal, middle-aged almost. Okay, and then show this other picture. She tweeted out, a state grand jury made up of everyday regular Arizonans, which are not everyday regular Arizonans anymore, handed down felony indictments on the ongoing investigations into the fake elector scheme in Arizona. Blah, 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 blah. What was my point? Where'd her bottom teeth go? I know I smile like that. I can picture one of my aunts smiles like that. You're not necessarily supposed to show your bottom teeth when you're smiling. You're just supposed to show your front teeth. If you're showing your bottom teeth, that's like a strange smile. Anyway, she kind of has an overbite. But anyway. Why did I want to bring this up? Oh, because according to GMG Jim, that the JFK tried to do that in 1960. What was the harm? He was just trying to offer an alternative. He was trying to right what he felt was a wrong. And they're trying to make a crime out of it. And I get that stuff can be written up quickly, and you may sign something that you don't know what you're signing, and maybe there's some lying or something, or not quite accurate, something like that. I get that you can make a crime out of anything, almost. You dig into somebody, you can conjure up a crime that they did. This is what this feels like, without even knowing the details. But it's a we hate Trump, so we're going to go after everything Trump. Terrible makeup job. Yeah. Women playing like they love the country so much. White-looking lady. You know, mildly attractive, getting a little, older than Hake. Yes, evil female. Lucky Larry, you have it right. You sum it up. Okay, I'll read the rest of the super chats. Thank you guys. I'll read the rest of the super chats later, hopefully in this show. Mildly subversive looking. CJ in Texas is on the line here, man. How you doing, CJ?
Hold on, let me get you up.
Cool, man. CJ in Texas.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Hey, did I just hear you say that people lost their rights to the constitutional rights in the Civil War?
Well, yeah, I did say that.
And you do understand that after the Civil War was when they passed the 14th Amendment, which is the amendment that gave all of the rights in the Constitution to people living in the states. And before that, none of the rights in the Constitution applied to anybody living in the states. They only applied to the federal government and when you're on federal territories.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so again, when you try to talk about law or science, 100% backwards.
You're referring to me specifically.
And everybody that listens to your show or chats.
Yeah.
The chat cards. Yeah. I'm just not. I'm going to give you a little. I would just advise this. I don't want this to come across as mean or anything, and then I'm going to bounce. But maybe I would suggest trying this with your show. Instead of knowing nothing about everything, maybe try to focus on knowing something about anything. All right. Peace.
Interesting. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, CJ and Tejas. And he gave me a click. He gave me a click. The reason that I say that that we lost the Constitution with the Civil War is that the Constitution allows for secession. And they're like, no, you can't do that. But, and then the 14th Amendment has been used to subvert the country. The 14th Amendment is being used to go after Trump and pretend like he's not allowed to run for office because he was an insurrectionist, interestingly, since he brought up the 14th Amendment. And then the 14th Amendment also said that, that what? The 14th Amendment said that anchor babies are American citizens. It didn't really mean that, though. It meant the slaves who were born and raised here under the jurisdiction of the country are so-called citizens. What a mess. But that's pretty interesting. So the states were able to do whatever they wanted? The states were able to violate your right to the freedom of speech and stuff like that? Huh. Interesting. Thank you, CJ and Tejas. A faithful listener, by the way, of the Hake Report. So let me get back to these super chats. Ryan B. bought a coffee. Fact, when I type Hake in the drop-down window on Rumble, it autocorrects to game. Truth. I'm looking for Hake, not playing games. Bloop, bay. Thank you, Ryan B. Appreciate that, man. Carver bought a coffee. Hake was born on the wagon of a traveling show. Joel used to dance for the money they'd throw. Jesse would do whatever he could, preach a little gospel, and have a couple calls with Bill Lockwood. Nice. This in reference to the Gypsy story earlier, and probably makes zero sense out of context. Oh yeah, because the Gypsies would be traveling. Now, there were Irish travelers, right? They were considered gypsies, too. The guy who beat the black dude, Deontay Wilder, got beat by a gypsy Irish traveler guy. Interesting. Interesting. So, Joel, you calling Joel a gypsy? JLP a gypsy? And called Bill Lockwood a gypsy? Maybe? It's a Cher song with your names filled in, says Carver. Huh. Cher, always with the fun stereotype songs. Nice. Nice. The Zesty one bought a coffee, 3 of them to be specific. I want to make a bet with you on something. If you win, I'll send a $20 cash app. But if I win, I get a I disavow mug. A couple of questions. Do your parents watch your show? Sometimes, maybe. Would you push a woman? If she got in my face, I might. Do you know you come off as creepy? Because sometimes you sound like you question the age of consent. I do know that some of you guys get way into your minds, your imaginations, your dirty imaginations about stuff like that. Yeah. Why is Mark so angry? Same reason you're angry. He never forgave and doesn't want to check himself. He's too busy judging Joe from Phoenix. The Snake. You have so-called haters, banned and unbanned. Can you genuinely say one nice thing about these listeners individually? Under what circumstances can the band get called back in? Well, I did a Jubilee in which I allowed all of the band except for 2, maybe 3, to call back in. So it has been 7 years of Hake, and so I did a jubilee. And I accepted, with the exception of at least 2 or 3 people. But yeah, so Robert from Kansas is allowed to call in. Mark from Los Angeles allowed to call in. I forget who else I might have banned. I banned some blacks, and then I unbanned them. There was this caller, Jeremiah from Louisiana. I might have had to ban him. He was pretty evil. He was more out of control than John in Kentucky. John in Kentucky has said some crazy things, but I don't think I ever banned him. Because the crazy things he said sounded like words from the Bible. So, and it was like basically about white children and babies and just wishing really death and destruction on the whites. But I took it as something from the Bible, so I didn't think about it. But other people whites who were listening, Christians, were like, that's wild for him to say that and not get banned. But a lot of these black Hebrew Israelites, they get provoked and they're angry, and then they justify their vitriol for whites by God saying, Jacob I loved and Esau I hated. And so they call whites Esau because Jacob and Esau. Like they think they have their inheritance. What a mess. Individually, Mark is pretty well spoken, and he knows some stuff. And with that well-spokenness, he deceives some people. Some people are able to, even though he's like crazy with that anger, people fall for what he's talking about and believe crazy things that he says, that he has no clue what he's talking about. But I like hearing from him. Again, I like dealing with disagreement with my callers and viewers. It's more interesting than just, oh yeah, Lake and Riley's, the white people who went to her funeral were peaceful. Everybody already knows that. That's not such an eye-opening thing. Anyway, thank you, the zesty one. Keep it cool. And who knows? But keep it cool. Keep it cool. Maybe do the silent prayer. Popcorn Stump Keg with a coffee. During your call yesterday with Jaime, and he spells it with an H. It's a J, but yes. Jaime, mentioned that Judge Joe Brown believed that OJ was not guilty. Was it Jaime or was it Jaime? Okay, from Minnesota. You immediately interjected and said, but Judge Joe Brown is black, so you were leery of his objectivity. Yes. I have a few questions. And Judge Joe Brown has said stuff that seems a little crazy, even though he's kind of old school, he's kind of fair-minded. Something about him seems maybe a little off. Okay, 1, why does the judge lose the presumption that he is objective based on him being black if you couldn't cite anything about his character that would lead you to believe that? Have you used the term, but he's white, to cast doubt on anyone's objectivity? Please respond. If they're into the white thing, then sometimes that can lead them not to be as objective sometimes. But whites don't tend to be into the white thing. And even the whites who are into the white thing, they try to get it right. So I'm not sure. But as far as the whites who are into the white thing, they might They might be off on some things. But blacks are into the black thing. Judge Joe Brown, when all of the people whom I respect in life think of OJ as guilty, but this one guy thinks he's not, and he's black. This one guy who thinks he's not is black. I'm like, Okay, lastly, you often say innocent unless proven guilty. You seem not to give OJ that same benefit. I don't know and I don't care, but like I said, all of the old people seem to know that he was guilty. And it sounded like even the jury lady knew that he was guilty, but let him off, as in your face to the white man. Okay. You seem not to give OJ that same benefit. I like OJ. I liked him. And it had nothing to do with him being black. I just thought he was guilty based on everybody else thinking that he was guilty as a kid. But what does it matter? I'm not deciding his fate. I would be fair were I in a jury. But I liked him. He would be on Hi, Twitter. Hello, Twitter. He was kind of into the black thing a little bit. You seem not to give OJ that same benefit unless you want to use an escape hatch and redefine what it means to be proven guilty. You presume OJ to be innocent because he wasn't proven guilty, right? I think he was proven guilty. They just rejected that he was. A jury declaring you not guilty doesn't mean that you're not proven guilty. You may have been proven guilty and the jury nullified it. Jury nullification. The blacks are good at that because they don't care about the truth oftentimes. So, interesting, Popcorn Stump Keg. What do you think about OJ? You think he's guilty or innocent? Were you around at that point? Were you aware of things? But no, I don't know. I just know that everybody I respected thought he was guilty. And that influences my perception, for sure. Nice. Let me double check for any other, you beef with black and gay people and women. It says, sorry, I'm sad, 2014. Did Hake just do the black clap? I did. What's up? I'm streaming on IG, Instagram. Let me double check. Okay. Some more super chats over on Rumble, at least one. Evil is still real. Says, does Sean Hannity still sit on the bond advisory board? I don't know. I don't think so. Evil is still real says, I was just kidding earlier. Hake, you know some stuff that is decent, like the band OK and the Matilda the Gorilla song. Great stuff. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Evil is still real is the CJ in Texas. And what would I say? What would I say? When did we lose the unlawful search and seizure thing? I say that I've heard a quote from from one of the founders, one of those people like Benjamin Franklin, somebody, right? Sean probably knows that you can't have freedom without God and morality or God and religion. This Constitution only works for a moral and religious and people, something like that. Without that, it's not going to work. And that makes a lot of sense. It's not the system that's messed up. It's not the rules necessarily, although the rules have gotten twisted and perverted, yes. But if the people were moral and responsible, the government would not have the excuse to violate your rights as much. The police, a lot of you guys, you whites, have said stuff like they use the blacks to commit all the bunch of crimes in order to crack down on the rights of the whites, gun rights, stuff like that. And then a whole lot of liberals, even white liberals, children of divorce, depressed, on drugs kids, they get off of their medication and they flip out and shoot up a school or whatever. They use the immoral people. They like when people are immoral and do these crimes so that they can seize the opportunity. I saw that, W. I was about to read it without you even giving me a super chat, but thank you for your super chat, WT1. That's cool. I'll answer it in a moment. They seize on the opportunity of people acting out in order to crack down even harder on the freedoms of the people. The so-called healthcare thing, Obamacare, that was getting more and more messed up by immoral people, the so-called healthcare system, abused by illegals and worthless bums. Shout out to the worthless bums. Hake is a worthless bum, but worthless bums who are just using the emergency room and not paying for it, and they're still doing it. The government meddling in stuff and messing it up and spiking the prices. The government involvement causing problems. And then people swooping in and acting like they're going to save the day when they cause the problems. Crazy, huh? What a mess. Terrible. So I think that's my picture of what's happened, is that the people have become more and more corrupt and the government has become more and more corrupt, and it's been just a vicious increase, ever increasing corruption. Make sense? I guess so. Couple more super chats over on Rumble. WT1 asks, Hake, why doesn't Joel Friday TV stream on Rumble? Because it costs money to be able to stream on Rumble. Money. So support Joel Friday TV so that he can afford to be able to stream on Rumble in addition to streaming on YouTube and IG. The way that the rest of us people do. Non-blacks and JLP. That's why. I think that's why. That's my assumption, really. It's the only reason I can think of. Because it's not that Rumble charges you, but the streaming software, the multi-streaming thing, you have to pay extra to be able to do a custom RTMP, which is what Rumble is. Evil is Still Real says, OJ wasn't paying no alimony at the end of his life? Until the end of his life? Oh, he wasn't paying no alimony at the end of his life. And he says, based black man. Yeah, that's a mess. The injustice against the men. It's terrible. It's not good. I disavow divorce in general. I was raised, God hates divorce. I was raised that children of divorce don't make good wives or husbands. It doesn't bode well if you're a child of divorce. Terrible. Hassan says, even if juice did it, OJ, orange juice. Orenthal James? Is it Orenthal James? Simpson? He's not guilty. It's kind of like Tupac said, I ain't guilty, because Even though I sell rocks, it feels good putting money in your mailbox. Or something like that. He said, people say I'm cold and heartless, and I'm heartless because he has no love for his daddy because the coward wasn't there. He justified it being wrong. He justified his hell. Not good. But, yeah, you can sort of sympathize with people, I guess. Terrible. Okay, man, it's Super Chat City over here. Shout out, guys. Greenwald donated a diamond saying, what were your original politics? Have they changed? I was always a Republican. Like, I was raised in a Republican family. Like, Ronald Reagan looked like my dad and my grandpa. Not to be black about it, but somebody who looked like me. But, like, my parents were Republicans. My dad was Republican. And it wasn't like a Republican Party stuff. It was more like, we're for morality, and this is for morality. So I knew that there were weak, lame, rhino, phony politician people. And so, yeah, it's changed in the sense that I got to know a little bit more. And I'm more sympathetic to the South. And my dad kind of was too, I think. Because he saw, like, how evil the people have become, whereas the Southern people are normal, decent people. You know what I mean? So, hearing JLP speak his mind as plainly kind of opened up the Overton window of my mind in what I allow myself to think, you know, because he said stuff that I never even considered. And so I would hear different things that would kind of open my mind a little bit more in the way that I thought about things. But, yeah, and then hearing some of the stuff that you guys have said makes sense sometimes. So I've gotten I've gotten maybe a little bit more right-wing, I guess. Maybe. I think of myself kind of as a centrist. Center-left, maybe. Kind of a liberal. I have some more super chats to read, but I got to end. This is Droptop Floride. It is Soul Junk Sunday. Adios, America. Enjoy or don't enjoy this, and Joel Friday next. Bye. What was it like
when the junk rolled in? Like
revelation?
Don't care what you're in, got the
Power and authority to cancel your sin.
And the ghost of Jehovah most alive.
It's Christian.
What was it like when the junk rolled in? Like revelation. Forget where you've been, got the power and authority to cancel your sins. And the ghost of Jehovah
Playing host once again.
Peace, perfection, passing predilection, maybe connection, holy intersection, bliss out beyond words. Dang, how the bomb hurts when we drop it like we forgot live in concert. Prom skirts and tuxes, Bronco ready boxes. Texas is nothing next to what I got in fluxes. Darkness and get loose, crowd starts to get loose. Rapping for the kingdom, big night. I'm a pet shoes, a blind bat, flying with the radar on. Pulling moves, war, billionaire, passing the car. I love that. It takes a minute, shift the lid, cement, if your head goes mushy, that's the idea. Forgetting where we hail from, 777. You catch heaven is a place where nothing happens. That's why you spreading Velveeta type disease. I'm the greatest of ease, we up above here. Yeah, you peep the flying trapezius, Achilles got mangled. Your fatal fly dangles, your tendency to judge with your eye.
Got you strangled
in ligaments and
sinews,
while truth lies
within you, muscle bound.
I have to get round to skin you alive. Talking about all cats survive who surrendered their lives while the others pile drive themselves 6 feet beneath y'all. We here to release ya.
Captain Underoos,
Stand by to debrief
ya.
What was it like
When the junk rolled in,
like revelation? Don't care what
Where
you've
you
been.
been.
Got the power and authority the cancer you sin, and the ghost of Jehovah most alive deep within you. What was it like
When the junk rolled in.
like revelation? Forget where you've been.
Oh,
Got
no,
the
I'm
power
overtime.
and authority to cancel your sin, and the ghost of Jehovah playing host
Once again. I gotta get out of here. Joel Friday coming in next. Thank you, Hassan.